right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Talent Show, where you will meet the people that power TTEC. My name is Rebecca, and I will be your host for today's show. Welcome to today's really amazing show that we're going to dive really deep into the importance of creating human connections in the workplace. So, we're so glad you're here, whether you're returning to join us once again in the audience, or if this is your first time. Thank you so much for joining us. We know there's so many ways that you can be consuming content, sharing your time right now. So we're glad you're here. So welcome. We have titled today's show Deeper Connections, and that's because we're celebrating Global Diversity Awareness Month. And today's guest is going to create a very compelling case for the importance of creating more connections in the workplace so that people feel valued, included, and respected. I know that you're going to love her passion for DE&I, her spirit of helping to make sure that we all understand the importance of understanding each other. And she's going to unlock a little bit of advice for those of you who are Gen Z navigating the workplace, and for those of us who may not be in Gen Z, but are working with or leading a team of Gen Z as well. So today is going to have a lot of different depth and conversation to it. So we're glad you're here. But before we meet today's guest and get into the show, let's meet you. Please feel free to drop in the chat where you are joining us from around the world. And hey, if we're all about deeper connections, let's start to make some of those connections right now with each other globally. Hello, our Grand Diva. We're so glad that you are here today. Shabam Jain, hello from India. Marvin joining us from the Philippines. So glad that you're tuning in. And of course, hello, Win, also from the Philippines. We're excited for you to be joining us here today. So, as we join to talk a little bit more about the power of diversity, let's meet today's guest. She, I believe, is one of the most inspiring and fresh voices in the DE&I space. Everyone, give a warm welcome to Bria Martin. Hey, Bria.
Hi.
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 Hi. All
Thank
right,
you for
everyone.
having me today, Rebecca.
Oh my gosh, Bria, so happy that you're here. I know that you are really passionate about DE&I, and we knew that you'd be the perfect guest to help us celebrate Global Diversity Awareness Month. You started here, you were recruited into our leadership development program, rolled over into leading our project manager for environmental social governance, ESG. I know we'll
It's a
get more into
mouthful.
that. It's a mouthful. And
Yeah.
I think everyone will be inspired by how you're dedicated to creating a more sustainable and equitable future for all. So really, really glad that you're here, Bria.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I love talking to you, so of course would love to just have this conversation with you and talk more about DEI, Gen Z, creating deeper connections, here for it all.
Awesome. That's great. And selfishly, everyone in the audience, I really wanted to share Bria's contagious enthusiasm and her spirit. I think her approach, I'm on many of her work streams, and her approach to collaboration is just awesome. So everyone, we'll start. We'll get into it now. Bria, so share with us a little bit more about you and your background, and really how that background transitioned you into this role. Again, ESG mouthful, environmental social governance, but how that helped you pivot into this role here at TTEC.
Yeah, sure. I'll start from the beginning. I was born in Georgia, was partially raised in Florida and South Carolina, so I'm in the southeast of the United States. But I currently live in Denver, where TTEC is based and headquartered. So by being raised in the southeast of the United States, that typically comes with, a little Bible Belt. We live in the Bible Belt. But with that, my parents were very, very big on community and making sure that we believed in community, we had a strong community, and that we were able to share anything with anybody all the time. That was just how we were raised. And so I went to school at Clemson University in South Carolina. I studied language and international business with a minor in philosophy. But apart from my studies, I was heavily involved with extracurriculars. So I was involved in the debate team. I was involved in our Council of Diversity Affairs and student government. I was just heavily involved. And with this, I just learned a lot about others and the importance of learning about others, and how the more you come into contact with others from different backgrounds, the more development you have, and how everybody's perspective can shape you. So, with being a part of Gen Z, I know that we already touched on that, and I'll be touching on that today. I have a big advocation. I advocate strongly for sustainability. I know that climate change is happening, and I can see it and I can feel it. And so with this, I was offered a job to be a part of TTEC's ESG team. And when my then boss, was describing what the role of being an ESG project manager, when it comes to, you want to advocate for things, you want to push for change in our sustainability practices, our DEI space, our engagement. I just thought, wow, this is literally the perfect job for me. I couldn't have written a better job for me, and I'm happy to be doing what I do every day.
Well, we're happy that you're here doing it, Bria. That is really great. And I think, especially with a global audience, it's important to also know that you're really leading these efforts globally as well. Whatever regions that we're in, you might be in Denver, but you're touching, really across the world, which is great. So I thank you for sharing your background, like how you were raised. That's obviously really, really important with the values that you bring every day, and the importance of community. But could you share a little bit more with us about like how this is your why? And now in the workplace, why is this important in the workplace to create these deeper connections?
I would say it ties into my why, ties into who I am as a person. And I think when we talk about diversity, sometimes it gets politicized, and it's one of those more polarizing topics. ESG in general has become that. But if you take a step back and you look at diversity, it's based on humans, how we're different, how our experiences were different, how we were raised, what we look like, what we believe in, how our minds are wired, and I I think that should translate into the workplace, because there's so many of us that are different from each other, and when you are different and you have different perspectives and different life experiences, I think it really, and you collaborate together, it really makes something beautiful. And so that's my why of wanting to be a part of this space, is because I understand that it's not just to tick a box. And some people believe that diversity, equity, inclusion, and these different ESG topics are to tick a box, but I look at it through a human perspective and wanting to do good and bring people together. And so that is my why. And I just believe the topic of diversity is very important to my generation. And I want to be leading the charge on making a more inclusive and equitable environment.
I love it. Thank you, Bria. And everyone, I think in the audience can see why I think you're a fresh, inspiring voice with a beautiful take on the importance of understanding each of us and our different perspectives that we bring and the different backgrounds that we have, that it is our thoughts, our beliefs, our generations, as we'll talk
Yeah.
about here in a second,
Yeah.
too, our
It's very
abilities.
yeah. It's very stimulating too. I always think it's very stimulating. Like, why would you want to just be with the same people that have the same views and the same opinions and the same way they work? It's always very interesting to be like, "Oh, I didn't think about that in that way. Oh, I never experienced that. I've never gone through the struggles that you have gone through." And I think it's just a beautiful way to learn more about each other, and I think again, it creates something beautiful as well.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Bria, for that. And just before we get into the next question, just jumping over. Hey, Diana Castillo from Canada T-Tech. We're glad that you're here. I see somebody else joining us from Melbourne, Florida, and Giancarlo from Denver. Welcome back, Giancarlo, and Elisa from Pittsburgh. I don't know if you're a fan of the Phillies, but I do have to give a shout out to the Diamondbacks real quick. I am in Arizona. We are going to the World Series, so we're pretty excited about that. So, sorry if you are a Phillies fan, but anyway, Bria, back to today's show.
Yeah.
Um, could you share more a little bit? I think you've given us a really great understanding of your why and the greater why of this is important in the workplace. I think it's also more rewarding, for each of us if we're in a more robust and rich environment with our colleagues as well. But could you share more with us about what our personal roles are? Like, how can we each participate in this and be a part of this stimulating solution, that you're talking about?
Well, I can speak more specifically to TTEC. We're doing a very intentional job of creating employee resource groups. And right now, there's an employee resource group for women in leadership, for Black and African American people, for our LGBTQ plus community, neurodiversity, and then also just disabled and accessibility, wanting that equity and accessibility. And I think that's a really great start. So, these different communities, whether you are a member in this community or you're just there to learn more, is a great start of understanding how to be involved and understanding the differences of diversity and perspective. So I would first encourage everybody to get involved. And if you don't see yourself in those communities, then reach out to me, reach out to our diversity council chair. I always encourage people to, if you don't see yourself and you want to see yourself, then come on, let's join together, let's lead the charge so that everybody is included and can have themselves represented. I also think in terms of just creating deeper connections is just talking to people, networking. And sometimes people think that networking is, you're trying to network to build your career and climb a ladder. And it's not that to me. I think it's been helpful to advance in your career and find mentors to do that. But also, it's great to just know who you're working with on a day to day basis and how their mind thinks and their background so that you can continue to work with them and meet their needs and meet yours as well and have a more personal relationship. So that's how I advocate for creating deeper connections in the workplace.
I love it, Bria. Our next question actually is about that we wanted to throw out to the audience. So, everyone, please, we're going to be asking you to drop in the chat. The world has changed so much in the past few years. We've really gone from communication to talking about connection. And so, how are you connecting with your colleagues, your family, your friends? What are the new ways in this hybrid, remote, on site world that we have that you're, like you said, Bria, maybe just reaching out to somebody just to say hi and not to see what you need on a project together. I know the other day I was working on a project with one of no one, it's not a secret. I love people globally here at TTEC and that opportunity to work with people. And I was meeting or doing an email with a team member in EMEA, and she shared a picture of her country in the fall. And I was just transported immediately to Croatia. And
Mm.
I'm again in Scottsdale, Arizona. So it was just really fantastic. And it was being mindful of taking that extra moment just to be like, okay, we are humans beyond the project that we're working on together. So please, audience, share in the chat with us about how you make deeper connections with your friends, family, and colleagues as well. And Bria, that will take us into our next question for you, which is Gen Z. All right, everyone.
Dun, dun, dun. Yes.
I love the other day you had some great advice, I think, for Gen Z navigating the workplace. And so, would you share with us, uncover a little bit more about what you think Gen Z can be doing to navigate this, again, crazy new workplace that we have an environment in today's world?
I would say my number one piece of advice for Gen Z is to, again, making the connection, is to lean on others and really go, lean on others and understand the people that have come before you in the workplace and leverage their expertise and leverage their experience. I think it's one thing to just only copy what somebody else has done, but try and understand why it has been done before you, and then also put your twist to it. I don't think I would be able to navigate the workplace at all if I didn't lean on, for example, you, Rebecca, or my other colleagues to reach out to them and, pick up a phone call or schedule a one on one meeting with them just to get that mentorship and that perspective and that advice of, and it's very simple things that I think some people may not think about, but people have been doing this for years. So, hey, can you send me this template? Can you show me how to do this? How does this leader think through these situations? How do you think through these situations? And I think it's been very helpful for me to just lean on other people, whether that be my colleagues, my mentors, my boss, to kind of show me the ropes. And I also think another point of advice would definitely be to pick up the phone. And I know that's one of the things that typically my generation doesn't do as much because we are in the age of social media and texting, and we're very easily connected that way. But I have found that picking up the phone the more old-fashioned way is super helpful. Sometimes tone gets lost when you're pinging somebody or emailing somebody, and you don't want that to get lost. You want to really understand where somebody's coming from, and just streamlining communication as well rather than going back and forth through an email chain. Sometimes it's just easier to understand and also get your point across through that just voice connection. And also, if you are able to do so, I think in person collaboration is very helpful. And I know that it is one of those scary things that our Gen Z doesn't like to do. We want to be remote or don't want to go back in office. I know that's one of the overarching beliefs of the generation, but I do think that a lot of us enjoy in person collaboration and getting to meet people in person. So that's my piece of advice to my generation. Pick up the phone and lean on others for support and be in person when you can.
Bria, I think that is great advice for your generation, but I think that cuts across generations too, right? Like that, hey, I'm not quite sure if I'm understanding the tone in this text message or email or whatever it is, and doing the old-fashioned thing of, picking up the phone. Luckily, we don't have to go to like a phone booth anywhere. We've got them right here in our hands, or we can call on Teams or Zoom or whatever it is. So yeah, I think that's really great advice for your generation and for the others. And I just want to give a shout out over to Oscar. Oscar in our chat has sharing thoughts on social media is a fun ticket to Connection Town. I really like how you say that, Oscar. That's
Nice.
great.
Love
Yeah,
that.
thank you. To Connection Town. That's awesome. So Bria, we don't want to leave out the rest of us that might not be in Gen Z. So what is your advice for perhaps the rest of us and how we can be better colleagues, leaders, and just make those connections with our Gen Z colleagues as well?
Going back to celebrating diversity, and not to plug this in for no reason, but I would encourage the people outside of Gen Z to understand that diversity is very important to us, and having a diverse team is very important to us. And sometimes I think diversity is talked about in a very particular way, or maybe like a old school way of thinking, okay, race is diverse, gender is diverse. But I also think, again, that there's a lot of things to know in diversity of perspective and diversity of experience. And I think a lot of my generation would like to be challenged and like to be stimulated by people that either don't look like them or don't exactly think like them, because we're used to that and we're encouraging that in the workplace. And then I also think that to generations outside of my own that are trying to work with us or navigating a new generation coming into the workplace is that we are very open to feedback And we're also very open to receiving encouragement and receiving support and help. And some I've heard before from some of my other colleagues of, "Oh, I didn't want to make you feel this way," or, "Oh, I didn't want to make you feel less than by pointing out your age or tenure at the company." And sometimes it's shied away from of pointing out your age and experience, but I embrace that. I think it's important to let people know that, I'm a hardworking professional or that our generation is hardworking, but we also have so much to learn. And we won't be able to learn and grow without your encouragement and your support. So just know that we like it. We encourage it. We embrace it. We like mentorship and your support. And then lastly, I would say um, my generation is typically very adaptable. You have to think about what we have gone through in a very short amount of time. We've gone through COVID like everybody else has, of course, but we've also gone through elections, at least in the United States, that were very polarizing. We're going through climate change issues and sustainability issues. We're extremely globally connected. Through a worldwide perspective. We see what's going on opposites and ends of the world all the time, and we can connect with people throughout everywhere all the time, and we've been raised into that. And with that, we become very adaptable, and also we become very in tune with things outside of ourselves. And so I think that it's important for other generations to know that we want your flexibility and we want your understanding as well, in terms of just embracing change and embracing, changing environments, because we've grown up with a lot of change and a lot of in a very short amount of time, I'd say.
Bria, we could do like a whole show just on unpacking everything that you just said about Gen Z. Absolutely. I mean, you're so right. Your generation, going if people were in college, you had to go remote in college. You came into a workforce potentially in the middle of COVID, as a fresher out of school, wherever you were in the world. And so you might be the most adaptable generation that we've had to date. And, just with the change in technology, AI, social media, everything. So yeah, maybe we need to have just a whole show about the adaptability and flexibility that your generation brings as well. So I told you, everybody, she's got fresh insight, and I think it's applicable to whether you are Gen Z or you're a teammate or a leader of someone in that generation. Also, just going to go over to the chat real quick too, Bria. Keith shared patience, regardless of your experience. You don't know everything. I think that is a really great, in such a fast-paced, dynamic world that we have, to just be a little bit more patient, take a beat, maybe just to breathe before being reactive and responding, and going to different sources and making sure you're really understanding the challenges rather than being impatient with everybody. So we could all be
Agreed.
10% kinder, right?
Yes.
And also, just on a total different side note, Adam, one of our team members will maybe, if you guys could drop my email to Adam in the chat. Adam, I can see what we can do to help you connect with that role in Malta, because TTEC, we're going to be talking about in a second, is coming to Malta, New York. So Adam, one of us will connect with you. So everyone, I've taken enough of your time today, Bria, but I know you and I could keep talking for another good half hour, but we got to get you back to the world of environmental, social, and governance. And thank you for giving us a new perspective on it, and for giving us all something to kind of be introspective about as we walk away, to be better neighbors, better humans, and better connectors in the workplace. So, Bria, thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me, Rebecca. I appreciate it.
Always have fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time. All right.
Bye.
Bye, Bria. All right, everyone, we're not quite done yet. We'd like to share with you a little bit more about some opportunities that are available here at TTEC. Of course, we encourage you all to drop in over at ttechjobs.com, take a tour around, see what we're all about, read our culture book, experience some of our videos where our team is sharing what it's like to work here at TTEC. You can also come and check out our Who We Are tab that shares more about our values, our commitment to diversity, and to a whole bunch more. But first, if you're in Ahmedabad, India, we have a really great opportunity available for you as a chat customer service representative. This is a great opportunity for freshers. So please, we'll be dropping in the chat the role. Come and check it out. We also have here with us today, again, back to like Adam's point earlier, we have launched in Malta, New York. So if you are in the Malta, New York area, we are looking for a workforce management planning analyst. And there's actually a lot more jobs where this one comes from in Malta. So if you're in the area, if you're in New York, we also have some remote jobs available as well. Come check out our work from home tab and see what we have for you. Again, we're hiring around the globe from Egypt to Mumbai to the Philippines to Colombia. So please come and check out more about us. We also would really like to thank Bria, our guest, for joining us here today. I know that I have some personal work to do. I know that there's been some of our employee resource group workshops on my calendar that I haven't quite been able to make it to. So as I looked forward to 2024. It's kind of hard to say 2024, everybody. It's hard to believe we're almost there, but I'm going to be adding some of those workshops to my calendar and making them a must do. So we thank you for joining us. Again, we know that you have many ways that you can be spending your time. So we appreciate you coming here today. If you found this episode of value, please share it. Whether it's someone that you know is Gen Z and could maybe use the advice, or you want to help us be a more connected world. Here at TTEC, our purpose is to deliver humanity to business, and so this might be a really great episode to share with your network as well. And if you have missed an episode, please head to our TTEC profile, follow us, and it will alert you when we go live. Thank you once again to each of you. We'll see you back in 2 weeks. Thank you to our talent show production team. Everyone, have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are.